Bobby Jindal, in the news, he's got some advice for Republicans, and his advice, his statement is pretty sweeping. He believes that Republicans need to pretty much change everything if they hope to survive and win elections in the future. Specifically, he said this: "We do not need to change what we believe as conservatives. Our principles are timeless. But we do need to reorient our focus to the place where conservatism thrives, in the real world beyond the Washington Beltway. Today's conservatism is completely wrapped up in solving the hideous mess that is the federal budget, the burgeoning deficits, the mammoth federal debt, the shortfall in our entitlement programs." And so I bring this up not because I believe that Republicans are likely to listen to Bobby Jindal. They're probably going to try to push him into national office at some point, but I don't think that they agree with him on a lot of things. He seems a bit too reasonable, a bit too moderate. But I would like your opinion on what the Republicans need to do in the next couple of years to bring back voters who are pretty much sick of them at this point.
Well, one thing I think they can do is to maybe go back to the Republican Party that they used to be prior to, the 1980s, like the Eisenhower Republicans, the Teddy Roosevelt Republicans, the ones that actually were caring about, conservation. Conservative is the base for conservation, and they used to care about these things. They used to actually care about working for the country and trying to make progress and move forward on things, and unfortunately we have lost that part of the Republican Party. It would be nice to have that counterpoint, an actual sane counterpoint to
even just a wing.
Even just a wing of sanity would be nice.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like a lot of their policies are actually much more regressive, right? They're trying to do away with a lot of the progress that we've had in the last 50 or so years. So I think they should look at their fundamental beliefs and what they stand for and really stick to that, not try to go back to 1880.
They're building a bridge to the 19th century. That's kind of what they're doing in the attempts to restrict women's reproductive rights that they've already gained. The work that they're doing to just consolidate power rather than actually try to move us forward on some really intractable, difficult issues that we have.
Yeah, I do disagree with at least one of the points that Bobby Jindal made. He says that one of the reasons that Republicans aren't popular is all they're talking about is the deficits, and it seems like all they're doing is government bookkeeping, as we said. But I don't think that that's true. I think that that's a cop-out to say that that's why they're unpopular. I think that talking about legitimate rape and things like that is a much better reason, a much more understandable reason that big demographic groups are no longer interested in the party. And so I think that while he tends to be pretty reasonable, if he actually believes this, I don't even know if he's ready to make the changes that the party needs to compete nationally in the future.
Well, I don't think, though, that they actually care about the deficit. They talk about it. They don't care about it because, they were the ones that were behind voting for President Bush to put us into 2 unfunded wars. And
there's no deficit in their pockets.
Right. They don't really care about it. It's just a convenient talking point for now. And as soon as a Republican comes back into the presidency, they'll completely ditch it again, and they'll act as if, oh, look, we can run up the tab again.
Exactly. Yeah, now we're in charge.
Yeah.
But I will say, though, while we talk about the demographic changes that have been going on in the country, and certainly certain groups, Latinos, for instance, are becoming a larger part of the voting population, that's definitely good news for liberals. It's good news for Democrats. But I don't think that there have been a lot of people in the past who believed that the tide of history was turning and there would be a permanent majority. And there were times when people thought when Bush got into office that might be the beginning of some sort of durable Republican majority. I think that the party system is pretty flexible. I think that the sorts of the issues that are emphasized, the positions that they take can change from decade to decade. It might be a little bit harder with the Tea Party and how extreme they are. But I think that one of the reasons that when you look back 50 or 60 years ago, it seems impossible that the Democrats were voting the way they were, the Republicans were. Like, why is it that Lincoln freed the slaves, for instance? It doesn't seem to make sense, and that's because the parties do shift. And I think that it's going to be difficult. I don't know that the Republicans are smart enough or have the will to shift in the way that they have to, but I wouldn't count them out just yet.
I don't count them out, but I think what they have to deal with is the influence of corporate money. Because right now, I don't think they'll ever get back to being the kind of Republicans that we remember, from history, especially mid-century Republicans who actually worked for progress in the country until they're able to separate themselves from the corporations that have taken them over and basically use them as tools.